Hey everyone, it's Kyle from Kool Collectibles, back again for another 1/6 scale figure review, this time the MMS202-D04 Robocop figure by Hot Toys. Alright, so this figure is definitely the longest I've ever had to wait for a pre-order to arrive. I ordered this back in June 2013, that's right, you heard that right, June of 2013. So it's been about 19 months for this to arrive, so I think it released in Hong Kong in around September or October last year, and it always takes about 2 or 3 months for Sideshow and other retailers to get it. Now I got this from Anna Market, and Hot Toys finally decided to send them their stock, so they were able to ship out to all of their customers finally, and I received it in pretty awesome condition. So I'll give you guys a quick look at the box and everything else in a second, so just hold on. The box itself is really nicely done. If you've got any of the other die-cast figures, you'll probably be fully aware on how this all goes. So the top half pretty much just lifts off, so it's not a shoebox or anything like that, and you pretty much get that nice sort of artwork and paneling on the front there, and a bit more of the artwork on the side. Forget the reflection of myself and the credits on that side. And then the bottom half is just your standard sort of solid cardboard and so on. So that's all nice and pretty collector friendly, as is the foam insert on the inside that I'll just grab here. So you get this foam box with the nice cutout of the Robocop name, and you just take that off and all the contents and the figure are inside, all nicely wrapped in plastic and everything to protect it against rubbing against the foam and so on. So it's all nicely packaged like that, just like you would expect from Hot Toys. So when I opened this, I was expecting to be pretty wowed by it, just like I was with the Tamashii Nations 3PO, which was a fully die-cast figure. But because the Hot Toys figure is not fully die-cast, it sort of lacks that wow factor when you take it out of the box, to be quite honest. But before I get to the figure, I'll go through the accessories, which are pretty good. It comes with, I'll just move that up, it comes with a pretty nice base, which is I think very similar to the DX10 base and a few other bases that they've reused and just had a different sort of clear plastic art print there. So you get the Robocop and OCP sort of logo. I don't think there's a light up feature or anything like that. Then you get this nameplate with the remote control, which I'll show you guys in a second when we get to the figure. And you pretty much just press this BO section here to set off the sound features. So I'll show you guys that in a second. He comes with these two fists by default out of the packaging, and they are nicely painted with that glossy black paint that you see. But I swapped them out immediately for the articulated finger hand sculpt, which I'll show you when I get to the figure. But these two are pretty nice still, and nicely sculpted and painted, so no major dramas there. He does come with the fist and the spike for the communications and killing that guy at the end, but unfortunately it's just plastic. I was hoping that this was going to be at least metal, but I don't know if for safety reasons or whatever. I mean, it's still pretty sharp, and you could still hurt someone, but it is plastic and it is fairly soft, that you can see it bend there, and so that's a little bit disappointing. For the gun, he comes with two versions. So this on the left here is the fully die-cast metal version that you put in his right thigh, and this is the plastic one that's much lighter, and that you can use to pose in his hand, because it is pretty damn difficult to get it into the hands for the articulated hands, but I'll go through that in a second. The die-cast one is pretty nicely detailed, as you can see there, but it is slightly smaller in size. So if I just sort of hold that together like that, you can see the hilt is much longer on the plastic one, and the plastic one does have a few more sort of silver highlights along here for the paint apps. And this one doesn't have any sort of moving parts, but the plastic one you see here, you can take the bullet out, the rounds, and so you can see the bullet casing on there is a nice little detail. So you can put that back in, and then you can slide this section out, which reveals the little bullet that you just saw before in there. So it's all quite nicely done there. So I really do like this this gun, and I think it is pretty accurate to the movie as well. So the only disappointment is how hard it is to get him to hold it properly in the articulated hands. Would have been nice if they just simply provided a hand sculpt that was that had a trigger finger or something, like they do most of the time, but not to be. He does come with a battle damaged visor, so this again is really nicely painted. I think it's all plastic, and you sort of get the nice sort of pearlescence and the purple coming through, but not too much. But the battle damage itself is quite nicely done, that you can see there. And you can also, not sure if my camera is picking it up due to the lighting, but through that hole there you can see his eye. So my camera's not probably picking it up or being able to get that light in there. But yes, there is a little flesh piece that you can see there that has the eye on the other side. So nice little touch there by Hot Toys. And he comes with the battle damaged chest plate, which again is just plastic, but it does have a lot of nice molded and painted detail on there. So it's unfortunate that they included this, but there's really no other battle damage on the figure around the body. So I guess that's why they've released the battle damage version, which goes far beyond this. But I'm not sure many collectors would bother displaying the figure with this chest plate on. He comes with the little magnet thing that you put on the chest, the back, sorry, to remove the panel for the batteries, which I'll show you guys in a second. And he comes with, apart from the standard sort of stoic mouth closed faceplate, he comes with 3 others. So this is the sort of grimacing one that shows the teeth. I'll just zoom in there, and it is nicely detailed. And you can see the paint app and the teeth outlines there, which is all nicely done. And they all do look very much like Peter Weller. So as always, they've done the likeness pretty well. So this is some sort of pursed lip look, which I can remember from the movie, but I'm definitely not going to use that. And then he has this sort of semi mouth open look, which is not too bad. So that is pretty much it accessory wise, and he also comes with the instruction manual as well, which does come in handy and in some of the aspects. So definitely give it a read if you've got this figure coming. But now I'll get on to the figure. Just hold on a second. Alright, so here he is up close. So I'll just give you guys a quick pan up and down. He does look pretty awesome just standing there, and just the molded and painted detail is pretty awesome all the way around. So there he is from the front, and just turning him around, you can see some of the additional detail and paneling on the back, which also is really awesome. So I'll point out just shortly where all the die-cast parts are. Now I was expecting quite a bit more die-cast, to be honest, but not to be. So I think the shoulders here, the shoulder components, are definitely die-cast. Now I think you can really identify the die-cast parts where you can see more of the pearlescence. So if you see a bit of a purple hue on the figure, it's more than likely that is the die-cast components, because they have that better and nicer hue to it. So you can definitely see them around the shoulders. None of this chest or back area is die-cast. And then you come down to the legs, and all of these thigh components seem to be plastic, but these calf components are metal, so, and the feet as well, I think. So I guess one way to really be sure is to get that little magnet thing, and so you can sort of feel that it sticks to these components that are die cast, but definitely none in the thighs. You can feel it sort of in the calf, and definitely the feet. So overall, not too much of him is die cast, and so that's what I think contributes to a bit of the wow factor when you pull him out. When I first pulled out the Tamashii 3PO, I was totally blown away by just how awesome the die-cast feel to it was, the articulation, and just the sort of heft and overall sort of quality of it. This one doesn't feel too bad, but there are some parts of it that just sort of cheapen him up a lot, actually, in my view. So I'll just show you the parts that I don't like the most. Now, the thigh here, this right thigh is where the holster goes. So essentially what you first need to do is pull the hips out. So it has a feature where you can pull the hips out for the articulation. So there's an example there for that side, and it is still pretty tight, so doing this sort of scares the crap out of me, and that's another issue of mine that I'll go through in a second. But on this thigh here, so all of this is plastic, and you just bend the knee so this part comes away to allow that to move out a bit more, and you just use this little panel here to just move that so he's got a bit of room. So you just open that up and push this forward and essentially just pull that out. So that's how he does the holster, and the die-cast gun can then just sort of sit in there, and you can push that back in and close everything up. But because this whole section is hollow, it just feels really flimsy and unstable, and for mine it doesn't really close flush. So you can see here, if it closes flush, it sort of hides that gap, but mine's got a little bit of a gap, and you can sort of hear that plasticky hollow sound. And just when you, because the thigh, the hip joints are so tight, just trying to rotate this, it just bends this and just doesn't give it a quality sort of sturdy feel to it, that I'm always worried that I'm going to crack this plastic or bend it in some direction that it doesn't want to go. And so normally I try and hold this fairly stable and then just rotate it from the body end. So I'm trying to minimize the sort of stress on this thigh. Whereas this side, which doesn't feel hollow at all, but I think is still plastic, you can sort of move that around with no sort of major issue. So with articulation, you pretty much pull out the thighs to give more range of motion, so he can get his legs up pretty high. Otherwise, you know, if you push them down, you wouldn't be able to move it that high. The best part of the articulation for me is definitely the knees. They're on a ratchet joint. That just feels really nice and smooth. Although the thing that scares me are these rubber joints here. So he's got the same sort of rubber around the knees and around the elbows. And I'll just show you on this elbow. If you know, that's how it looks from the front here. Actually, I'll do it with the arm that fell off. So just let me put the figure down. Alright, so here's the arm. And I'll just zoom in a bit closer. So this whole section here is rubber all the way around. And I'm assuming it's just sort of stuck by glue. And essentially what you do is you just bend that so you can see that. But my concern is this rubber at the back here. So if you bend it to say 90 degrees, all that's doing is stretching that rubber. So there's no way that I'm gonna keep the figure in that sort of pose with that sort of stress on this rubber. You know, Hot Toys is supposed to be high quality, but they've had a pretty bad rep in the quality of their rubbers, and you know, a lot of cases of rubber cracking, especially on their ED 209. So I'm not going to risk that and probably have it at least holding his gun out with the hand straight out, and this left arm probably just slightly bent. and behind him. So that's probably how I'll end up posing. But this ball joint here, there is a hinge, so it does go up and down. But what I found, as I picked him up out of the box, the arm fell off, and just like you saw there, the arm fell off. So the socket and the ball joint would appear to be slightly too small on mine, and that left arm is just pretty loose. So essentially, you see there, so there's the ball joint there, and you just fit that socket over it. So let me just, you can manually just sort of move that up and down, so you can see that I've just moved that down, and then you just sort of try and center it like so, and then you can just line that up and fairly easily just push that in, and you hear that click. But that click is because part of the articulation on the arms is that you can sort of pull it out like so, and have a wider range of motion, but and then push it back in to have that nicer look. But on this side, it's just yeah, it doesn't work so well. So I can sort of gently pull it out like so, but then the arm eventually sort of comes off. So you can see the ball joint has come out, and you can hear it click back in. But overall, that arm is pretty loose. But I'll probably just leave it in a fairly neutral pose on that side. But you can sort of, yeah, see, I can't even sort of really have it pulled out and articulated all that well on that side. So that was so that's fairly disappointing. But one bit of articulation I really do like is in the ankles. Initially I thought the figure couldn't articulate the ankles at all because they did seem very, very tight. But what you can see on the calves here is that there is a ball joint here and a little, essentially a ball joint there as well, I believe. But the action here for the ankles is pretty cool in that, you know, it moves that piston up and down. But this is on a ball joint here, so that when you tilt it like so, you can then sort of adjust that so that it's straight, and then you can also turn the ankle left and right slightly like that, and because that will then essentially move that out of place, you can then adjust it again to straighten it up to keep that piston nice and straight. So I think they put as best articulation they could in that joint, even though, you know, it's quite restricted by the design of the suit. There's slight movement in the knees as well, that you can see on this side as well, but this side is quite a bit more tighter, and the toes are on like a spring feature where you can sort of have it slightly like that if he's in a bit of a walking pose. So I really do like the articulation of the legs, and the knees are particularly good, but I'm disappointed with that arm, and I'm definitely scared about the rubber in the joints, both in the knees and the elbows. The head articulation is awesome as well, so he can pretty much tilt and turn all over the place. There is a sort of a plastic jacket, or if you want to call it that, or that surrounds that, so you just need to sort of adjust the joint there around that, but the head is pretty damn good. So I'll show you some of the swap out features. To swap out the head is pretty easy. It's just held on by magnets, so you pretty much just pull it straight up like so, and you can see the little magnet inside that attaches on the magnet at the top there, and you just grab the other one, which is the same, and just place it directly over the top again, and that is pretty much it. Now to take the mouth plates off, you do need to be a bit careful. They do say to pull these sides, but you don't really need to. You pretty much just try and get your finger in there and tilt it down a little bit, and just pull it out like that. And because this chin piece is so tight, you'll see that it leaves a bit of mark on the chin there, which I guess isn't so bad because you do need to push it down on that chin, but you'll notice that on these other pieces you don't get that, but once you sort of push it in there, you know, some people have sort of just left it on the outside like so, but it really doesn't have that normal look. So I'll grab which one, the pursed. I'll show this one as an example. So you pretty much just push it in and make sure the chin is in first, really, and then just push it in like so. So you've got to get it under that chin guard there, and then just put the visor back on like so, and that is pretty much it, like that, I believe. So you get that sort of purse look, and that is over the chin. So just got to be a bit careful about how you push it down there, but once the chin and the mouthpiece sort of covers it around here, it should look okay. So that is pretty much the head and mouthpieces there. For the chest here, you can take this off, so it's just connected by magnets here, and so you just pretty much unclip it like so, and it just has a couple of little clips on the side here that you push in on the sides, and so you then just grab the battle damage one and sort of line it up with the magnets there, and just clip everything in place on the bottom, and that is pretty much it. Alright, so once you take that off, I'll just take that off again, you can see the speaker there, and so to get access to the battery compartment, you pretty much use that little magnet thing. So you just put that there, and then just pry that off like so. So that just comes off, and there's the magnet there, and you'll see the magnet, the battery compartment there. So it does, you do need 2 N-type batteries. So I've got that on, and so once you turn the little lever here, it'll go through the sound features. So I'll just turn that on.
Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law.
Alright, so it goes through that first one, and then essentially what you do is you then turn this thing on and press the button, and it goes through its other noise sound feature. So I'll just give you guys a listen to that.
Stay out of trouble. Drop the gun, you are under arrest. Dead or alive, you're coming with me. Come quietly or there will be trouble. Thank you for your cooperation. Good night. Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law.
So there you have it. And I do like that it does have the sound from the movie, unlike I think Ed 209, where they might have re-recorded it, which is a pretty poor effort on Hot Toys' part. I'm not sure why they did that for the Ed 209. But I think that is pretty much it for the figure. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it, but I really don't like the plastic sort of thigh here. I'm disappointed in that the shoulder here is quite loose, but the sound features, the actual overall design is pretty good. Actually, I forgot one thing. I forgot to show you the articulated fingers. So let me just pull this arm off again and just show you that quickly. So this is probably one of the coolest features. So you see all these little fingers here. They're all on ball joints. So I'll just zoom in for you actually. So every joint is articulated, so it can turn on the ball joint, it folds down that joint, folds down that joint, and then folds down that joint. So you can get a lot of posability out of these things, like so. Yes, I am a 5-year-old child. So that's a screw you to Hot Toys for putting too much plastic on this damn figure. But I do love the hands. The biggest problem with the hands, of course, is trying to get the hand to hold the damn gun. So you try and put it in that gun holding pose. So if I just hold the gun there and try and fold these fingers down and around, you sort of can achieve something that is similar, but it just, it's so hard to hold that pose. So, or at least hold the gun in a way that is decent looking. So I did have it done a little while ago last night while I took some photos, but I'll definitely have to keep futzing around with it to try and get a decent pose out of it where it can hold fairly well. what I've seen other people do is, I don't know, use a bit of blue tack or sticky tape or something in there to just keep it held like that. So what I might do in my posing is have this arm, because I don't want to bend the rubber too much, have this arm outstretched like that, holding the gun, and the other arm behind him like that. So like that, it does look decent enough. So that is pretty much it, I think. So I've covered all the articulation, covered the sort of paint apps and so on. But yeah, so in the end, I'm happy to finally have the Robocop figure in my collection. I'm not as wowed as I thought I would be on it, but hopefully it grows on me over the next few days as I futz around with it and take some more photos. So I hope you guys like that look. I've got quite a few more 1/6 scale figures coming, so hopefully you can click that subscribe button. And I've got reviews for R2 from Sideshow, Hoth Han is coming soon, Hoth Luke as well, the Shadow Trooper from Hot Toys, and a few more Transformers and miscellaneous other figures. So hopefully you can stick around for that, and thanks again. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers, bye.